All right. Welcome, everyone, to Formula Worldwide Leagues presents Friday Night Lights, Division 1 in our illustrious and growing league. The cornerstone of it all, where it started about 4 years ago now. I think we're actually approaching 4 years anniversary, I think sometime in April this year, now that I think it just dawned on me. So, yeah, that's something to maybe talk about later on as I try to validate that. I'm your host,
I
Jim
haven't
Cab.
been battled since 14 years ago.
That is Dakota Domino. And
Yeah.
we're here at the Mexican Grand Prix. Looks like a nice, sunny quali session. And we're just waiting for one of the 20 cars to get out on track. Oh, look at that. One man actually got into the lobby, and we have a full grid. We had a full grid last week, didn't we?
I don't believe so, no. It was close, but it wasn't full.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, we've got a full grid today, so that's should make things interesting. And one of the first cars out on the track is one of the reserve drivers, We the North, in the Sauber. So I'm actually going to ride on board with him, my reserve teammate, see if we can actually continue to score some points almost entirely through the reserve drivers. Oh, look at that. Massive noogies in the other kick Sauber. Has invalidated or has disqualified himself on purpose. This is Massive's MO. He does this lots of times. I think he just likes the challenge of going last to first. But Massive's good. He's very good. He's one of the primary admins over at Formula Whatever on Thursday nights. Um, he's also been in the booth for Friday Night Lights in the past. And yeah, he jumps in as a reserve driver here and there. But when he does, he rarely ever qualifies. He always just DNFs himself, DQs himself, and then just sits at the back for the race, and then almost always gets driver of the day because he just waits for attrition, for people to fuck up each other's races, and then take over the places, and that's how he rolls. It's an interesting
White
strategy.
people indeed.
All right, so we're following.
Villain of the story.
Yeah. We're following We the North in the Kicksauber through Sector 1. I believe he'll be the first car, maybe not the first car to be running a hot lap, but he's one of the first ones, so. Through the tricky section of the S's here, where you're just kind of hanging on a thread, you have to have really good confidence in your vehicle through those while, trying to push as flat out as possible. Get a lot of speed through there. I used to be really, really challenged by that, especially that first turn into the S's and after the sharp left-hander. And, oh, look at that. We the North has abandoned his lap. That's interesting. So we'll have to move on to somebody else, see who's doing laps. Plube sets the first fastest lap, 1:14.360. One man in the Haas comes in at 1:14.8. Foe in the Haas at 1:14.9. Spicy in the McLaren. I'm too late. All these. Let's see if I can catch the other McLaren. He's way down. Uh, Man, everything's moving so fast. Meow Slayer into second place. Wow. Wow. Okay, we're following Pack Daddy. And big slide out of there, and he's good for 1:15.001 P7 in the Aston Martin. Let's go over to Curtis. I think Curtis is about to cross the line. He puts himself up in P4 right behind his teammate Plube. 1:14.409. Nighty Night is I think Corey Lanzillo just set a lap for P5. Nighty Night bumps him from P5, 114.473. And Lobster crosses the finish line and gets 11th. I see a Mercedes there, Nate. He's still in pits. So everybody on the track has either on and out lap, which is Paxton, Kiwi, and Arsenault. Kiwi is our driver's champion leader, so he'll be definitely one to keep an eye on. Paxton is another one of our reserve drivers. He's driving for the Racing Bulls. I hate that name, but I have to get used to saying it because that's just the way it's going to be, I guess. It's just the dumbest name. I wish they had.
It could be me just being used to things being dumb, but it's honestly one of those things that doesn't, for once, rub me the wrong way. I just say V-carb and forget about it. So
I like saying V-carb. I'm down with keeping it that way, but they're officially moving to Racing Bulls this year, which is, I think, it's just the dumbest name. And then people start saying RB, and we've always been saying RB for Red Bull. So now we've switched to say, I don't know, I always said RB for Red Bull for years. And then we've switched to saying that the V-carb is the RB team because it's Racing Bulls, and nobody wants to say Racing Bulls because it's frankly awful to say. So... All right. Meanwhile, Paxton's going through the stadium section here in Sector 3. Let's see what he can pull out. He's got good pace. If he could be a full-time driver here, I think he'd be contending for the championship. But crosses the finish line. Interesting. Only P12, a 1:15.9. But it is early in the session. And during all of that, we missed, or at least I did, Nick Arrow. Deffy has changed his name again. I don't know what it is with this kid. He keeps changing his name like every other week. So it's Deffy, it's Nick Arrow, it's Patrick Deffy. Ugh, I don't know. To be fair, Patrick Deffy was a nickname that the previous broadcasters used to call him. So, right, yeah. I'm following along with
P2.
Kiwi. Oh, nice. Gifted in P2. Only 2 cars in the 113s here. Gifted did actually make a comment in the Discord today about how he broke into the 113s and was quite impressed with his time. So,
I'm not a big fan of this track. It's very odd as well, kind of circuit to race on.
yeah, I mean, I don't hate it, but it's definitely not my favorite. Kiwi goes P5 with the 114.3. Sketchy Bull goes P4 with a 114.262. And Sketchy's back in his Red Bull. He's very, very happy about that. So
just got back and already,
yeah,
up in the 4th in the standings?
Yeah, something like that. We're riding along with We the North. Let's see if he can actually set a lap. He's one of 3 drivers who have not yet set a lap. Heat Gang in the V-Carb has not yet set a lap. And Nate in the Mercedes is sitting in the pits. Hopefully he'll be setting a lap soon. We'll see what happens. But in the meantime, we follow along with We the North as he rounds the final turn. Comes across the start-finish line. Good for P10. 114.526. That's not too shabby.
Good stuff.
So the field is separated from 1st to 17th by 2.5 seconds. And there's a half a second gap between Nick and Gifted. And then you've got Meow Slayer, Sketchy Bull, Arsenault, Kiwi, Plube, and Curtis Chaos, and now One Man and Nighty Night, all within a second of the leader. So that's a pretty tight field. And then the second half of the field is about a second apart from each other, all the way down to Lobster in P17. Let's switch over to Heat Gang, see what he's doing. He's set a purple sector 1, so let's keep an eye on this one because it's looking like a really good lap so far.
interesting with the inputs of Meow Slayer. They're running a very pointy setup. They're throwing the car into the corners.
I'm telling you, if Meow Slayer was racing here permanent, like full time, he'd be up here in bet challenging for the championship. I firmly believe that.
They invalidated through the stadium section just when
Oh,
they were
did
there.
they? Okay. He can't crosses the line, and he's only P14. That is, he started excellent in that first sector, and then it just dropped off from there. So that's unfortunate for him.
Yeah, the
One.
stadium. Sketchy is currently going through it now, exiting towards the final corners.
Let's switch over to Sketchy, see what he can do. Tight on the inside.
Up to P4.
Yeah, just swaps positions with Spicy.
Who is about to... Oh, no, never mind. Invalidated as well.
I'm going to check to see if maybe Nate is not in here. Nate. Because I don't know if he's purposely just not setting a lap or what. So I'm going to switch over to Pack Daddy, who's reserving in the Aston Martin. He's invalidated this lap, so I don't know if he's going to come back in. But I can't remember if he's been has reserved for FNL yet. But I figured I'd give him a little air time, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But he's
tonight.
diving into pits, so we're not going to follow along with him anymore. Let's see. Well, let's see. Foe. Ooh, Foe is on an excursion through turn 1. I don't know if he's what that's all about, but oof.
Over the line of Ferrari for Curtis, up to P4.
Ooh, nice. 114.027. I mean,
Flube now to see what he can do.
The difference between Nighty Night and Curtis is minuscule. 7/1000ths of a second. It's wild.
Who can take it, though, is a question by the end.
That is the question. Switch over to Plube and the Ferrari. See what he can do. He's currently sitting P10 with a 114.360. Ooh, he lost that rear end a little bit. Comes around the quarter. Does not improve his time. So he's thrown that one out. And it's going to be really tight for him to get back to the pits, swap tires, and go out for one more chance. So now, Kiwi has invalidated his lap. He's in Sector 3 coming through the stadium section now. Currently sitting P9. He's got full ERS, like his battery's all charged up, so I think he's going to go for a hot lap here. So we're going to ride along and see how this goes. 114.332 is what he's currently sitting at in P9. So down the long front straight. It's an interesting straight because there's some subtle like elevation changes, as well as like, the straight is not really straight. There's some small kinks to it. So
very mystical, though.
Again, I don't hate it. I'd be totally fine if I didn't race it, right?
Oh, absolutely, agreed. I am curious to see how NASCAR does around here since they're going there this year.
They're coming to Mexico this year. That's wild. I didn't know that.
Yep.
That would be interesting.
To see what they do, and it's not the oval layout either. It's like the actual.
Is it the F1? Yeah. Because I know the Formula E. Ooh, a little bit of slide there for Kiwi into the stadium section. I know for Formula E they use a different layout. They still go down the front straight, but not the entire front straight. And they go around the full stadium instead of going through it. And Kiwi improves to P6, 114.109. He will not improve that. So he has to fend off people like Sketchy Bull, Spicy Noogies, Arseno, Plube, One Man. I mean, all of these guys are 2-3 tenths within like within 3/10, and it's very conceivable that any one of them will dethrone Kiwi from that position. Through all that
Yeah.
babbling of mine, I just realized Nate has gone out in the Mercedes. He has set a time of 1:15.011. It's good for P17 right now, but I wonder, he's not flashing fuel, so I wonder if he's going for a recharge and then go one more time. That would be a decent strategy if that's what he planned out.
Yeah.
But he's diving in the pits, so he'll most likely finish P17, and he will definitely finish P17 because... No, I shouldn't say that, because there may be time for Paxton to get out. What's the time here? 2 minutes and 50 seconds? Yeah. Paxton could get out and most likely will improve that 1:15.062.
It's a possibility.
But Lobster just pit, Nate just pit, so they're done. Heat
Mhm.
Gang is now out. He's currently in P16 with a 1:14.707. That's pretty far down for Heat Gang.
Yeah. Very odd to see considering last time for them.
Yeah, exactly. But the race is a different story, and
This is true.
a lot of things can happen in the race, and then we'll see him in the top 10.
Very true indeed. Qualifying's honestly most, well, not most, yeah, most tracks qualifying's honestly just like 1/4 of the entire event. Like you could have a bad qualifying, but you could still come back from that. So
Yeah, absolutely. Right? So okay, I'm on board with...
Flube is around.
Ooh, he spun
Wow.
around. Oh, down that stretch
Yeah, they're
too.
not getting
Interesting.
another lap now.
Okay, following along with Foe in the Haas. He's set himself up for a hot lap. Let's see what he can do. He's currently sitting P15, a 1:14.692. Now, although there is not an elimination, it would be interesting to see um, if he can break the top 10, because that's the where they score points in the race. Division
Yeah.
1 is the only one that follows F1 scoring exactly as the real life. So,
Mm.
and Foe has some pace, and I'm really hoping this change of host tonight. Curtis Chaos is hosting, and he's on PC, so he's been trying to help people. If you're not listening or following along in the um, Discord, but you are listening to the broadcast either live or um, recorded later on. Um, if you're on PC, there's a way that you can check for corrupt files on your F124 install, and that may have some help. Oh, Foe has to pull the zip cord, and oh, wait a second, he's invalidated and he's recharged enough. I've been following an invalidated lap this whole time. That's so funny. So he invalidated, and he was running out of time, so he cut a corner through the stadium section. He had already recharged his battery, and now he's going for another attempt with about 10 seconds left on the clock by the time he had crossed the finish line. So,
Very interesting, but good idea. That is two
so
level tires, it seems.
yeah, for sure. So Nick currently sitting in P1 with a 113.415. Curtis is now retired. Plube is retired in 12th. Pack Daddy's retired in 13th. Sketchy has crossed the finish line. His best time was 113.483 for P2. And Gifted has just retired. We're following Nighty Night. He's diving into the pits. He will be P4. Meow Slayer. Let's see if Meow Slayer can actually dethrone any of the top 5, but preferably Nick Arrow in the pole position, provisional pole position right now. So
Oh,
Meow
invalid
Slayer.
on the final corner.
Oh no, who was that?
Oh, very
Meow
unfortunate.
Meow Slayer just set a purple sector 2. He's coming through the stadium section here in the McLaren. Can he actually dethrone Nick Arrow? No, he cannot, but he is P3, 3/100ths of a second, or 3/10ths of a second difference between him and pole. And that's it. Everybody's gone, so there's our order.
Alrighty. It'll be very interesting tonight, that's for sure, with the way that everything is set up as is. That was very interesting to see. Phil
Yeah.
Extrafolo on that exit there through the stadium just invalidated, nearly had finished up the lap. Here's to see how Gifted does, though. Again, with every race this season losing out by a penalty, so will they change?
So Kiwi ended up in 7th, but it's Nick Arrow, Sketchy Bull in 2nd, Meowslayer in 3rd, Gifted in 4th, Nighty Night in 5th. Then Curtis Chaos, Kiwi, Arsenal, Spicy Noogies, and Corey Lanzillo round out the top 10. After that, we've got One Man in the Haas, Plube in the Ferrari, Pac-Man reserving in the Aston Martin, We the North in the Sauber, Foe in the Haas, Heat Gang in the V-Carb, Nate in the Mercedes, Lobster in the Red Bull, Paxton in the V-Carb, and then Massive Noogies DQ'd himself, did not set a time. He finished in last, and will start this race in last.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like we at least have a sunny and dry start.
Yeah. Formation laps is still up, right?
It should be, yes. I forgot to remind Curtis about that, but
Well, should have grabbed a snack real quick before quality ended. Hungry.
all right, while we wait for all of this, I'm going to actually post our qualification results in the Discord. So if you happen to be following along, you can see it there now, right now. One man made a comment saying, "I don't think I've seen this grid this competitive before," and I have to agree with him. First and second are separated by 600ths of a second. First and 10th are separated by 8/10ths of a second, and the whole grid is only separated by 1.67 or 647 seconds.
Mm. Ricky.
So I think we're in for a potentially exciting race.
I mean, excuse me, Vegas was for the amount of rain there was as well. Expecting a lot of sliding and stuff, but there was, well, actually, there was a lot of that. Now that I got back to it, but
Yeah.
even still. And here we are. 5 lights. And we're rolling.
That was quick. The game did not mess around today. All 20 cars barreling down the straight into turn 1. Nick in the lead, but Sketchy Bull on his inside. And the
they're around.
Nick
Many cars
Arrow
around.
and who's the McLaren there? I think of Spicy Noogies also got caught up in that, so they fall all the way back to 16th and 18th place. And there's more chaos here as we follow along with We the North. Who's all this in the grass now? I think that's the Mercedes of...
Wow.
Yeah, 3-second warning for Paxton for corner cutting. I could see that being argued in case it was a
Avoiding action.
avoidance. Yeah, so we've got our pit strategies here, either medium to hards or a two-stop where you go medium, medium hards. Uh, a two-stop maybe if you get like a freebie with a safety car, but I've been informed that safety car was reduced. I don't think that should have been the case, but
I will
eh.
say from the start, I was on board with uh the Aston of Nick, and it did look like there was a bit of wheel hucking there. So who would be at fault? I'm not sure, but it was definitely very shocking to see from off the start. I didn't see the other incidents how they initiated though, but pretty much every corner off the start was a collision somewhere down the line.
Yeah, definitely
Most
there
chaotic
was.
start we've had so far.
Yeah, there was. So we had. Was it Pack Daddy? No, it was Nick and I think Spicy. But I don't know if Nick got pinched by Sketchy, and that's what
Yeah,
caused him to kind of lose. He got like wobbly over the curb. You know what I mean? And
yeah, that's what I
then
saw.
and then I think Spicy got collected by that. So those two tumbled down. Now Spicy's recovered a little bit. He's back up to P14. He started P9, I believe. So because he's down 5. Meow Slayer also suffered there because he dropped all the way from 3rd to 15th place. So it actually, I think it was Meow Slayer who actually got caught up in that. And our pit strategy comes up again on the screen. That's interesting. There's been so many times where I've wanted to see the pit strategy screen come up, and it's like it shows it at the beginning and then never again. And now it's come up twice, and I've been seeing more of these types of graphics come up in games. As
Yep,
Gifted
like that. Same
passes
one.
Sketchy Bull for the
I've been
lead on lap
keeping
3.
PRS. I will say though, Gifted is in an interesting situation because on one hand he would want to stick with Sketchy because there is a possibility of penalties going his way, and then on the other hand reserving tires because behind both Sketchy and Gifted is Curtis on the hards, so he's gonna have distance on his side. So
Yeah,
managing the tires is gonna be important for them
yeah, I
as
hadn't
Nick
taken
is trying to
notice.
make his fight.
I hadn't noticed taken notice of the tires there, so because we've got Gifted on the mediums and Sketchy is also on the mediums, I guess, or yeah. Oh, Kurt. So Curtis is the one on the hards, and then Nick is on the hards as well.
And
And
remember when
Nick's
you were talking about Gifted or not Gifted Heat Gang and capitalizing on other mistakes? Look
yep,
who's up in P5.
P5 in lap 3 of this race. That's fantastic. That's
Oh, right
fantastic.
behind him, considering qualifying.
I will say this. I'm going to say this right now. The aerial broadcast view of this race is fantastic. I love it. We just had like a beautiful aerial view as the leaders came through the stadium section. And there's lots of times where the camera angles don't make sense, especially off the start, right? But
Yeah,
I do have to give credit where it's due when it has really good camera angles to really capture the racing here.
absolutely. Austria as well, actually.
Yes, yeah, that's a very. I mean, honestly, they're all very picturesque locations that Formula One races at. So,
Well, yeah. But they're also, like, it tends to help when it comes to certain corners, like here, Austria. Like, I don't like this track, but I will admit, the corners do look great from a bird's eye view, especially when
mm-hmm.
people are making moves and stuff. So, and other, like, low to mid-speed corners, like here, Austria, Spain, um, or, like, again, here's another helo cam, at least that I'm getting.
So we're following
Just
the
chasing
leaders
down
here.
Heat Gang.
Gifted is in the lead, Sketchy Bull's in second, and he's about half a second away from each other. So I expect Sketchy's going to try to make the move here on this again, as we have an aerial view of the two of them making the final turn and coming down the front straight. So I'm going to ride along and see how Sketchy. Gifted just drifts a little bit to the left, but I mean, there's not too much of anything he can do there to cover that off. Kind of navigate their way through this chicane. Sketchy gets another boost of DRS, and Gifted's doing a decent job sticking with him. He's still
He,
less, like about 3 tenths behind him after having 2 doses of DRS. That's That's what, like you said, that's what he wants to do. Just stick with him. Hope that maybe there's a penalty coming his way. And if not, hope that he gets a penalty of his own, a legitimate one. And then make a
And
move towards the end, right? So
something else I didn't even think to question about is what about damage, if that's possible for the underfloor of Sketchy? Because on top of the fact that it seems like just Gifted has a pretty good straight line speed on this track, because getting past Sketchy was very early when he had the DRS, and when Sketchy had the DRS, Gifted was still ahead for a good amount of the straight. So it might be a setup difference here as well.
yeah, I'm thinking more setup difference. I'm looking at our telemetry. We don't have any damage indicated for Sketchy, but I also believe Sketchy doesn't properly share his data, so um, could be we're not privy to that information. But the only people who appear to have damage right now is Nighty Knight in 9th place. He's got front wing damage, and then Meow Slayer in 11th place also has front wing damage. To what degree, we don't know. We could try to see if we can get a visual on it, as we've been following along Kiwi, who's fighting for P5 or P5 or P4 with Nick Arrow in the Aston Martin, making his way
Lube has
up to.
lost many positions.
Yeah, Ploob seems to have lost something along the way and fallen
Ooh,
back.
big
And
collision there, actually.
Ploob
What
and
happened
We the
there?
North somehow came together. Ploob has a busted front wing. No end plate on the right-hand side. We the North is also looking like he's got some serious damage.
That's going to be a very interesting conversation later on.
Yeah, that sounded like it was a unsafe rejoin. Okay, let's go back to the front of the pack here. Gifted in the lead, sketchy with DRS, but he's unable to make the pass down the front straight through the chicane. Let's see if he's going to try attempt number 2. So into turn 4, hard on the brakes, no move made. Sketchy's just biding his time and staying behind him. We're lap 7 of 36. I believe the first pit stop on a one-stop strategy is going to be around, I think it said lap 12, I want to say. Do you think that sounds right? 12 on mediums and then 24?
I wish I'd have an answer, but
Yeah.
Unfortunately, if you've seen my races, I am not a strategy guy at all, so I couldn't tell you. I just keep going until my tires start feeling like I'm about to die, so couldn't tell you. It was smart of Sketchy to stay behind, as the long straight is a better place to overtake double DRS and longer distance to work with.
Yeah, he couldn't make it happen last time around, but let's see if he can do it this time.
Gifted having significantly less ERS. And no competition. Well, I say no competition, but again, this is Gifted, who is stuck with him all race long. Switching positions back and forth. Very balanced fight, it seems. Ploob enters the pits. It's looking like a repeat of Vegas, actually, with Sketchy having, like, all the ERS and everybody else just significantly less.
Now, I gotta, again, hand it to Nick Arrow. This guy started on pole, lost position in the second turn through that chicane, dropped all the way down to like P17 or something ridiculous like that, and he's in 3rd place right now, and he's actually in the mix now. Like where 3rd place before, which Curtis was previously in 3rd, he was still about a second and a half behind them, so he wasn't really factoring into this. Right now, we've got Nick right on Sketchy's gearbox, and I think they're coming up to a lapped car of We the North, who got caught
Indeed,
up
they are.
in that incident with Plube earlier. So things are getting really interesting on lap 9 already.
A lot of position changes in the midfield.
Yeah, Massive has now moved into P11. Steve
And a
TV one
slow-moving
man.
TTV.
Yeah, something's gone wrong with one man, so he's dropped all the way to P16. He must have spun and is just kind of regrouping himself.
Could be a
But
possibility. Back to the
Sketchy
front,
Bull,
however.
yeah, Sketchy Bull and Nick just hunting down Gifted. Gifted now has to fend off not one but two drivers. Like,
Yes.
oh, Nick is like just about to touch the rear wheel of Sketchy's Red Bull
I was
around the
getting ready to
final
say,
turn. Yeah,
considering what happened at the start, will the aggression be higher? We the North has just retired.
yeah.
In the pits? Yes, in the pits.
All right, down the front straight. What can Gifted do?
Oh, very slow will with the Mercedes. Is he gonna make a lunge? Ooh, contact the touch.
Sketchy takes the lead. Some contact between him and Nick Arrow and the Aston Martin. Both of them have DRS, and Gifted is left behind. But hey, once again, he's not going anywhere. He's stuck to those guys. And Curtis Chaos has now moved back into fourth place. And is he making a late push? Now, here's something to consider.
Pit cycle.
The first and third, these medium runners might be suffering their drop off. This might be where the crossover is for the difference between the mediums and the hards. So Nick and Curtis might be really, really enjoying this right now, because Curtis is now within almost DRS zone. He's at 9/10 right now. I don't know if he made it made it through in time. No, he didn't. So he doesn't have DRS, but he's still in the mix there. Nate appears to have gotten a penalty, I believe. And there's some more movement in the bottom of the field there. Arsenal's moved up into P4. Or sorry, P8, I should say. And now Sketchy is having to fend off Gifted.
Yep.
As Nick Arrow takes first place and seems to be...
And it's just a pull away.
Yeah, instantly pulling away.
And that was while charging too, so I want to see what Gifted has responded to that for. Already a second.
I mean, he's gone. That's it. He's gone.
Back and on a mission. Man with a plan was not having what happened on the start.
Yeah.
He said, "Get out of my way. I don't want to see you for the rest of this race. Goodbye." And
I
now,
mean,
1.5.
I mean, there's a long way to go. We've got 2/3 of the race to go, but
Then again, Nick is also on hards.
Yeah.
Might I add. So this is also going to be very interesting to see how it plays out. You got Gifted, who's making a move as I speak of their name. Say their name 3 times, and they make an overtake. Going past along with Sketchy on the mediums. As you said, Curtis, who is on the hards, who is just barely dangling in DRS range. Then, of course, Nick, who is also on the hards, pulling away. Now, 2 seconds. If you have that much pace on the hards, what are you going to be able to do on the mediums? God forbid the softs.
Yeah, later in the race, too, when the track is fully rubbered in, fuel loads are lighter. It's going to be really challenging to beat this guy. The only one he's going to have to really worry about is beating himself by making a mistake.
Yep. At this point, race the track, not the cars.
Lap 12 of 36th. And if anybody was going to do a 2-stop, they would have done it by now. Lap 11 was the 2-stop window. So these medium runners were expecting around lap 16.
You know, what just happened between Sketchy and Gifted just now brings up a a concern I've always had with the way that this game handles track limits. So, you know, as long as you don't gain time, you don't get a penalty. But it's so weird on how that works. So you got to either pretty much come to like a complete stop, it feels like, or risk going back on track when, especially if you're battling somebody, you could potentially be at that point a chicane unintentionally. So, like, what is the proper course of action? Just see the position, or
Um, if you've passed a car off track and the game has erroneously allowed you to have it, then you need to cede the position. But if you go out of track limits and you don't gain any time and it doesn't give you a track limits warning, then I mean we run strict, and you know as is that's the best way we can run it. I believe in strict it truly does not um, penalize you for instances where you gain no time whatsoever. So it's just a wash, right? And so it's forgiving in that sense. And it has to be like very close, you know what I mean? Um, but yeah, we
to
just
be up by 1,000th, then you got a 3 second on your name.
yeah, exactly. I mean, that's just the way it goes. While we've been talking about this, look what's happening here.
Curtis
Curtis
is back.
Chaos has been in the mix. This is the second lap in a row that he's been in the mix here, down the front straight into turn one through the chicanes of 2 and 3. Now Gifted's picked up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, so that's going to
And so
severely
it
hurt him.
begins.
He's down to P4 now. Sketchy Bull in P3, and Curtis in P2, 3 seconds behind Nick Arrow. Nick Arrow is gone. These guys, they're 2 more laps and they're pitting. Let's see if anybody tries the undercut. Right? Lap 16 is the window to come in. Spicy Noogies just pit, I believe. As did Corey Lanzillo, or did Corey pit earlier? I also want to note that Nighty Night apparently has front wing damage. I'm looking at it right now. It looks dirty as hell. I see both wing plates, end plates, so the damage is super, super minimal.
Do you think the tires are
Meows
possibly starting to fall off? I'm starting to see a bit of
on the
sliding coming
yellows?
from, honestly, both.
Absolutely. No, I think the hards should be okay.
The hards,
Meow.
yeah, but from both the
No, here
gifted and
comes
sketchy, I'm starting to see the
Heat
rear
Gang.
end sliding.
I just switched over to Meow Slayer. Meow Slayer is running P7 right now, and he's actually missing an end plate. He's got significant front wing damage, and I don't think it's actually hurting his pace that much. Pack Daddy picks up a 10-second for speeding in the pit lane. That's a shame.
Zoinks. Jinkies, even.
Back to the lead. Sketchy's 4/10 behind Curtis. Gifted's dropped back 2 seconds and now has 3 seconds in time penalties. Kiwi's closing in on him, so he might inherit that position if things were to end this way. We are nearing the halfway mark, and we are absolutely nearing the pit stops. We've already had a number of drivers: Spicy, Corey, Massive Noogies, Pack Daddy. They've all pit for their one-stop strategy of mediums to hards. Ooh, Nick Arrow picks up a 3-second time penalty without being pressured. Hmm.
Well, considering they went down from P17 and came back, who knows if that's even going to really mean anything in the end.
Yes, of course. Pack Daddy's picked up another 3 seconds.
19 seconds total.
Sketchy's past
Sketchy's
Curtis.
fighting back.
Yeah, moves back into second place. See if he can actually close that gap. It's up to 4 seconds between first and second. Curtis is harvesting, not harvesting, trying to stay as close as he can. Gifted's now dropped back 2.5 seconds practically, and Kiwi's still about 3.5 seconds behind him. Paxton is currently sitting P7 in the V-Carb, reserving their empty seat today. He's on mediums, so I would expect he would be pitting on this in lap. Who else should be up here? Oh, Kiwi is on mediums. Let's see, is he going to pit? Is our
Sketchy is.
Sketchy is pitting. Curtis is not because Curtis is on the hards. Gifted is pitting. Kiwi is pitting. Kiwi picks up 10-second penalty. Those will kill you. Pack Daddy's got 19. He's going to get disqualified if he doesn't keep it clean. It's nuts. So Kiwi
Running out
comes
of
out
penalties.
P2 or P6, yeah, and 10 seconds. So it's not a good time for him. Nate's picked up a 3-second track limit, so now he's up to 6.
Mexico. That's a weird way
Yeah.
to pronounce Austria, am I right?
Yeah, it is, but I think it's pretty notorious to have this many penalties in Mexico. It just seems to fit for some reason.
Is it the odd corners, perhaps? They're
Yeah.
very deceptive. I can speak
Yes.
English tonight.
Yes, they can be. Plube is in the pits and doesn't seem to be going anywhere. Was he... Oh, you know what? He might have been serving a penalty. But he has been lapped now.
Hmm.
And Kiwi's got another 3 seconds. Man, Kiwi's having a rough go here. So might not be a good day for Kiwi. P6 and surely to be much worse than that. Sketchy Bull is now in 4th place after having pit and is on fresh hard tires. He's about 3 seconds behind one man who has not pit.
But is
One
on
man
the
is
hards.
currently sitting P3, but yes, you're right. One man's on the hards. He's not due to pit for maybe 2 more laps. I think the hards will be done in about 2 laps. That
A lot
gives
of
them.
overtaking down the straight. Great
Well,
overtaking
that's
off
that's
that.
the most prime place to take over on this track, I think.
True. Though it's also interesting to see how in unison it is.
Hmm. So
Gang.
since there's a bunch of gaps here, I'm going to move down the field and we're going to follow some of this more tightly put together. 10th place is Heat Gang. He started pretty far down in the grid, not having a great quali. Right now he's running P10. He was up to
Who
P5 at
said
one
he
point,
didn't
right?
run P10? That is true.
Yeah. So now he, I believe, has pit. And yes, he's on hards to the end now. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here. Who would he potentially... I mean, he's got... Oh, one man's pitting. So he's going to pass one man and back up. He's now into P9. Then there's 2 more runners in front of him, but I don't know if that's a big enough gap.
Oh. I think I know why Plu was there for so long, possibly from wing damage, because I just noticed TTV had hit to get front wing replaced there, so perhaps that's what could have happened.
Yeah, that could be very much, well, it explains the lengthy pit stop for sure. I mean, when we look at the gaps to the leader, it's huge. The Sketchy has the... I can't remember exactly how much time you lose on a pit stop here, but it's usually around 30 seconds, right? 25 to 30 seconds is what I
Yeah,
would say.
usually around there. And the
So,
speed limit here is like 60 in the pit, so yeah, it should be like
so might
somewhere in
even...
the 20s.
Yeah, so Sketchy's 23 seconds behind Curtis, and Gifted is 27 seconds behind Curtis. Or sorry, not Curtis, the leader. So they could take over, but then they're having to fight off fresh medium runners, and Curtis is already showing he's rapid on hards, so he's gonna be faster than you on older mediums. Like it's just you gotta be sketchy to pull it off, I guess. So
Fernando is faster than you.
Heat Gang's in 9th place. chasing down Meow Slayer. Meow Slayer appears to still have front wing damage, which is wild to me. Oh, and Lobster hasn't pit yet either.
And they got all these positions.
And Ploob sets the
Who was
fastest lap.
lap?
Interesting. All the way down in 19th place.
If only it meant anything.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't mean anything, even if he was in the top 10. For all the other divisions, you get a fastest lap point. Oh, Heat Gang into the stadium section goes drifting, Tokyo Drift style.
Indeed, seems the... isn't it Red Bull that has connections with Honda?
Yes. Yes, it is.
So, perhaps their Civic is being tested out here.
Maybe.
Their new Civic body, you're going to see that on the streets later. All we need is a half drifting, we get an 8-6.
Ooh. Pack Daddy has retired. Pulled out of the race. That's it for him.
Out for the Aston.
Lap 21. 15 laps to go. We're following along with Foe, who's currently sitting P7. He does have 3 seconds in penalties. But currently P7 and I think closing in on Arsenault. He was under DRS earlier. Oh, lovely. The AI, the game has thrown Pack Daddy's AI back out onto the track, because that's what you do.
Love to see it.
Wonder if it's actually going to impede anybody. I don't think so. Maybe.
Doubt it should be lapped. Lapped cars are ghosted, right?
I don't know if ghosting's on or not.
Well, that's our answer. Nope. For both.
Alright, let's take a look at Kiwi. He's got 13 seconds of penalties, but he's on fresh hards. Sitting P5 and chasing down Curtis Chaos. Curtis is on fresh mediums, though. Yeah, like super fresh mediums. Curtis just pit. We missed that. Curtis at pit is sitting in P4 and he's now on mediums. He's only 3 seconds behind Gifted, and Gifted has 3 seconds in penalties. So Curtis is sitting pretty right here. If he can keep it nice and tidy, he's going to finish on the podium, surely. Maybe even...
As well, we have 3 seconds for Arsenal. So now he's up to 9 seconds in penalty. And there's another.
Yeah, they just keep coming, eh?
He's hitting it.
You know what I think EA should do? They should actually have it so... You know how you can set your initials in your profile in the game?
Yeah.
They should just make that be what shows up on the screen so that the running order graphic doesn't take up so much space. Because I like to keep it on the entire time. But it takes up a lot of real estate on the screen, so...
True, but what sort of acronym would it just be a custom thing? 'Cause I'm about to say, what kind of acronym could you put?
Yeah, like when you
or something.
When you go into your profile, like to set your race number and your name. Well, your name is your gamer tag, but when you go into your profile to set your race number and all that, there's a section to set initials, and you can set it to whatever you want. So, I think that's what they should do. Because then it aligns with what they do on the broadcasts. Broadcast is always a 3-letter abbreviation of their name. So,
well, if that's what you think they should do, then that means it's not going to happen, because everybody knows EA doesn't do anything good.
You're not wrong. While I was blathering along again there, it seems to be happening a lot tonight, Ploob retired. so he's out of the
Yeah.
race. We're down to 17 runners. We've got Nick Arrow in the lead, 19 seconds ahead of Sketchy Bull, who's in second place. Nick does have a 3-second penalty. Gifted is in third, 3.5 seconds behind Sketchy. He's also got a 3-second penalty. And Curtis is 2.1 seconds behind Gifted, who's got no penalties, so he will inherit the podium position so long as he maintains that under 3-second gap, or maybe even catch up and pass him, given that Curtis is on fresh mediums, whereas Gifted is on old hards.
I'm seeing in the chat as they're talking about EA physics from a slight tap causing someone to spin. But wouldn't you say that would happen, actually? Like, slight taps could be enough to completely spin someone around?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
As annoying as it is,
Mhm.
it happens. I mean, if it were like real life physics, you'll see that incident at the start would be just like what happened with Checo. Somebody was getting air.
I mean, I've never driven a Formula car of any type, right? The closest I've come is the Legends cars that I told you about, and those aren't open wheels. They're modifieds of like
Yeah.
old street cars with just race engines in them. And there's definitely a like the physics of driving a car hasn't been able to, like, you can't translate it to what we do. You just can't.
Yeah.
You feel so much of the car throughout your entire body, and that really does help you be able to have rapid response when you're doing high speed. That's a really key element of racing, right? So you don't get that. Even if you have a seat, I mean, I would even say, even if you have like the butt kickers and stuff like that,
Yeah.
gyroscopes, you know, the
They don't
gyroscopes is,
generate like
well, yeah,
all
they
the
don't
lateral movement and stuff.
exactly. They don't generate any G forces whatsoever. The only ones that would do are the ones that have like those hydraulic systems that actually move the whole rig in
Which, if you can
conjunction with
afford
racing.
that, why are you here racing with us? Go get into an actual car.
Yeah, I mean, it's neat to try. I would love to try it for sure,
Oh
but
yeah.
but you're absolutely right. It's like I would. I mean, at that point, it's like, well, I'd spend 50 grand and go get a race car and just do it, right?
You know.
So, I mean, it's not that hard. If you've got that kind of money, that's really what it comes down to, and that's
Well,
why
nothing
we
in life
do
is
it
that
this
hard if
way,
you have that kind of money.
because it's like, well, we don't have that kind of money, so at least we can do this part of it and kind of fantasize and have at least a taste of the realism here. So
Yeah, a little bit of a casual, mm, casual competition, we'll say.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Penalties
Like being
just keep
competitive,
going.
but
They
yeah.
just keep piling up. We're now 10 laps from the end of this race. Nick Arrow is in the lead, but he's only in the lead by 2 seconds. Gifted's in third, but Curtis is about to pass him down the front street on lap 27. And I think Gifted better be careful there, because I'm pretty sure he just cut turn 2 there into the chicane. And one man has retired. Down in P14, he will end up being P17. I don't know
Very
what
unfortunate.
happened. I don't know if he just kind of gave up. We'll see. It. I get it,
Weren't the
right?
best, but
Top
not
10 is
the.
only ones who get points. And that's another reason why I like to do custom scoring and extend the points further into the running order. Because I just feel like if you can't score points, then what's the point of just doing this, right? And a lot
Yeah,
of,
like
and a
spending
lot
an
of,
hour of your life to just
yeah,
do
and to do
nothing.
nothing, exactly. I mean, and I don't want that. Like, I want everybody to be able to say, have the goal to finish the race and at least get something out of it, right? And so that's why I put in Div 2 and Div 3 points down to P16, and in the RCR, the Reverse Championship Div 3 that we have on Monday nights, I got points right down to P20 for the Grand Prix, P10 for the sprints, but it's a very modified scoring system, and My intent is that I hope that it encourages people to not only attend because they can, have the chance of getting a point towards their championship and stay through the race, right? One of the
Yeah,
one of
nice
the
compensation for no fastest lap as well. Should we get rid of that?
Oh, we're not getting rid of it in Div 2 and 3. The fastest lap
Yeah.
remains there. So,
But what about F125 and stuff?
I think Div 2 and 3 will keep the fastest lap even in 25.
Hmm.
I think Div 1 will just always be following the in real life as closely as possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Curtis has this one in the bag. He's got to chill out, honestly, and it's theirs, P3.
Yeah, I mean, he's not quite got the gap to pull away from Gifted, but I imagine that's going to come soon. I mean, he's coming around the final turn here, 7/10 ahead. I don't. I mean, no, I don't think Gifted's got the gas to challenge him here, and I don't feel like he'll be able to do it through turn 4 either.
And that's even on top if you account for gifted penalty.
Exactly. So
So just chill out. Good. You got like a little under, about to be like 6 laps left. Just chill out. Ride with the wave, you know?
Massive
Go
Noogies
where the
has
wind takes you.
moved himself up into P9. Fantastic. Thank you, Massive, for the points for Kick Sauber, because I would really like some points for our team. The only guys running without penalties is Massive, Heat Gang, Curtis, and Sketchy. Everyone else has got some explaining to do.
Big slide from Curtis, but a lockup in response out of sympathy, we'll say, from Gifted.
Yeah, definitely. Nice aerial view again of this final turn battle that we've seen a lot of throughout the race. Basically, the top 5 have been, well, maybe not, maybe even just the top 4 have been battling uh, this whole race throughout various points.
Very
Gifted,
valiant effort from Gifted, though, all race long.
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Per
He's
usual.
back into P3, but I mean, we know he's going to lose it unless Curtis makes a big mistake, right?
Yeah.
Neither of them have to worry about Kiwi. He has closed the gap a little bit. I'm pretty sure Kiwi was 3+ seconds and is now under, or 3-. So, but they don't have anything to worry about there. There's 13 seconds of penalties that he's going to have to serve. So he'll likely end up dropping down to 10th, if not out of points.
Heat Gang is glued to the back of these cars ahead of Noogies and Spicy Noogies. Nuggies.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them. The Nuggets. The Nugget duo. Put them on a team.
5 laps to go.
Oh, big drift from Heat Gang.
Alpine's currently sitting in P1 in the constructor standings, and they're going to have a serious problem because they may score 0 points. Now, second place is Haas, and we're looking at Haas getting, 1, 2, 4, 6 points right now.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, they might actually get more than that. They'll probably get 12 points, actually, given the penalties on the board with Arsenal and Kiwi.
Yeah. Knight just retired in the pits. Falling down to P16.
So we're down to 15 runners. A 7-second, 8-second gap between Nick Arrow in first and Sketchy Bull in second. Curtis is still fending off Gifted, but hanging on firm to third place. Lap 32. It looks like he's going to make a pass for it. I can see this. He's going to try. Not bad. A little bit of a wiggle from Curtis. Heat gang, 3 seconds. What happened?
Big slide. May as well call him Takumi Fujiwara at this point with how much he's been drifting all race long. Nearly went into the pits, actually.
Safety car?
This late.
Lap 32, Meow Slayer's excursion results in a safety car. Wild. Wild. This is going to make things really, really interesting. This is also going to save Kiwi, because he's undoubtedly going to pit to get rid of that 10 seconds.
You know what else is going to change up? Curtis. We're going to restart the field. Nick has a 3-second. Gifted
Nick
has a
is
3-second. It's going to be a fight between them. I'm going to be honest. I don't know if... I think Curtis could probably survive if he were to stay out, honestly. Unless the whole field pits, then it wouldn't work out.
Sketchy has pit. Curtis is staying
What'd
out.
I say?
Gifted is pitting. Curtis is staying out. Kiwi is pitting. He's going to get rid of that 10-second penalty. Arsenal is pitting. Foe is pitting. Massive Noogies, sitting in 8th place on hard tires, is pitting, as does Spicy Noogies. Everybody is pitting except for Curtis. And that, you know what?
Curtis and... No, wait, never mind.
I think that might have been a mistake.
It's a very big gamble, because bear in mind, they only just now caught the queue. Safety car is usually out for 3 laps. It's only 3 laps to go.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to come in prematurely. So either one of two things is going to happen. Curtis is going to get absolutely blitzed by everybody,
Mm-hmm.
or they manage to somehow hold it together for the final, like, 2.5 lap left. Because worst case scenario, they could probably lose out the Sketchy, but, like, if they can keep enough people behind, bearing in mind the penalty, you could probably still score a podium. But I think it's like, as long as they can stay on the track, there are no real quote-unquote losses, but there is a massive lack of gain as well for Curtis here. But I'm not someone you can bring with you to Vegas, because you'll end up broke by the end of the night, so...
I want to take note here. Kiwi is now in P7. He served his 10 seconds during the safety car, so that was a freebie. I mean, he still lost a couple positions, but he's sitting on soft tires. So now compared to Foe is on mediums, Arsenault's on softs, Gifted's on softs, Sketchy's on softs, Nick Arrow is on softs, and Curtis is on old mediums. And we will most likely be lap 34 right now, so the safety car should come in now and give us a 2-lap shootout.
Yeah, I was about to say, if it comes in this lap, then yeah, no, it's over for Curtis. It's reps. Pitting was the way to go, it seems, since the majority of the field did.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a gamble. It's a gamble, right? It's a gamble, but
yeah,
I think when you see the guys in front of you doing it, and you've got a set of hards or softs, I mean, it's a no-brainer. Listen, I've made that mistake myself, right? It's like, it's just...
I've made many mistakes like that. I've actually had the opposite some time ago. I was fighting for potentially a win, amazingly enough, at Spain. And everybody started on hards. This was back in 23. And the hards felt really good. Like, I was even beating the championship leader very comfortably. So I thought when the safety car came out, I'll just stay out on these for a little longer and see what I can do. They feel great. They feel like softs. As soon as the safety car came in, they just fell all the way off. So that's where I started saying, if your tires feel really good for longer than they normally should, odds are they're going to drop off as if you weren't on a tire at all. So be ready for that. And this might be one of those circumstances.
All right, safety car in this lap. Curtis Chaos in the Ferrari, leading the pack through the stadium section. 14 cars remaining. We are about to embark on a 2-lap shootout to see who will come out victorious in this Mexican Grand Prix. Curtis rounds the final turn down the front straight. We're green flags. Everybody's nice and tidy, and it looks like before we even get down the end of the front straight, Nick Arrow is going to take first place away from Curtis. But Curtis sticks in there. He's not giving up. He's on the inside of him. They come real close together.
He wanted that podium, and he can still get it, honestly, because again, there's like cars behind. Everybody behind him has a penalty. He's clean, so he just needs to stay clean and
exactly.
Get the, just as I was saying that. Just as I was saying that commentator's curse.
That's a shame. Oh, and then all three cars into one does not go. Everybody's going sideways. Curtis is missing a piece of his front wing and has dropped down to P7. Now, he's going to inherit a lot of those pieces back if he can stay within 3 seconds of everybody ahead of him, with the exception of Sketchy. And he'll actually get the podium. So this is going to be a crucial lap ahead of him, and he still has to fend off Heat Gang, Massive Noogies, Corey Lanzillo, Spicy Noogies, Paxton, all very rapid drivers. And one of them
in the water.
And one of them's already taken over. Heat Gang. Now Heat Gang also has a 3-second penalty. Oh, here comes Massive on the inside.
So Sauber could possibly take this. Very risky through here.
Oh, and he goes sideways.
Contact.
Oh, no.
Wow.
Oh, he went sideways and he drops all the way to P13. That's just heartbreaking for the Sauber or Massive Noogies. Oh, brutal. Curtis is in 8th place. He still has everybody in front of him has penalties. He could make up some of these positions back, but is it enough to get all the way back to P3? I don't think so. I think it's slipping away from him.
This might have been a very bad strategy call. And this again proves I am not a strategist, because I said exactly to do just that. And here it is, paying off very well, it seems.
Oh, Curtis is now dropped to P9. Corey Lanzillo in the Alpine moves back up. Oh, and then the McLaren breaks, hits the rear of the Alpine. Curtis takes it back from the McLaren of Spicy Noogies, and then in the back of all of that is Paxton in the RB, the V-Carb, in 11th place, and that's it. Oh, these are the fun. I'm so caught up in this challenge, I completely forgot that was the final lap, and we have our final order.
Oh, with the comeback drive again, messed up in quali, fell all the way to the last. Now they're up in, what was that, 4th?
Heat Gang. Are you talking about Heat Gang? Heat Gang came in P6. Oh, Foe in 4th place. Yes. Massive Noogies picks up driver of the day and actually picked up a point for Sauber, finishing in 10th place. So they suffered. You were right. On that restart, there was absolutely an opportunity for Massive to actually move right up to the podium. But instead, we have Sketchy winning another race again on his return to FWL. Nick Arrow coming in 2nd, only because of the 3-second time penalty that he had, and then Gifted coming in 3rd. And yeah, a stellar drive from Foe in the Haas. Absolutely stellar drive from Foe.
All-American podium as well. Not going to see that in real life.
Nope. You're never going to see that.
What do you know?
Wow. That was quite the race. And the ending just totally caught up on me. That was something. We're not going to do any interviews tonight. But yeah, that was something. What are your thoughts here tonight?
That was again, it was a matter of like a Vegas situation. It was starting off, it was kind of it's a track. It's not gonna be all that I expected. Before it was the rain, but now you see everything that just played out, and it's like, what? nothing made sense tonight, and in that made it make sense. It was just chaos, and honestly, it was a controlled chaos in a way, which is part of what makes a lot of these events so entertaining because you never know what happens next, but it's always likely going to be something you're going to want to see.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I enjoyed it.
So
I thought it was a good race. That late safety car really, um,
shook things up for sure.
yeah, for sure. So I think it hurt some, it helped others. Bad decisions were made. Good decisions were made. It was an all around entertaining race. I think, despite the dull periods. So
Yeah. It was a lazy night for me again tonight. Not very awake, very sleepy, and now, well, still sleepy, but less. Now I'm sleepy with a bunch of interesting stuff that just happened in front of me. So I'll take that. Great stuff tonight.
awesome. All right. Well, I'm gonna get these results into the Discord so that we can have some standings put up right away. Before we sign off, let's see, what do we have ahead of ourselves? We have F2 tomorrow morning on this side of the pond, tomorrow evening if you're in Europe. Um, where are we at F2 tomorrow?
Silverstone, I believe.
Silverstone, yes, yeah, we're at Silverstone for F2, and then we have NEA Division 2 is racing tomorrow at 1 p.m. Sorry, 3 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. British time. And I'm trying to remember where they are.
Silverstone.
They're also Silverstone. Okay.
Yep.
And then we have BBR on Sunday,
You want to guess where that
6
is?
p.m. Silverstone. I'm going
Yep.
to guess Silverstone. Excellent.
It's Silverstone.
Yes. And then on Sunday at 8 p.m. BST, 3 p.m. Eastern, we've got ACC in the GT3s. And we are not at Silverstone. We're at
Yeah.
Nürburgring for the
Which
G.
needs to be an F1 again.
It needs to be an F1 again. I had no argument from either. So if you're in the ACC division, get your ass into the Discord and check in because we need more drivers. We got a 2-hour race ahead of us through the GP layout in Germany, so that'll be fun to partake in. I'm looking forward to that. So, and I'll probably be at all 3 races this weekend. So
Driving or?
driving, yeah.
Mm,
Yeah. Well,
excellent.
sorry, 3 of 4. I probably won't be. I won't be in for BBR. So
Uh, oh, still good to have you on track.
yeah, definitely. All right. Well, thanks for having. Thanks for coming on board with me tonight. Thanks for watching
Thanks
us
for having me.
online
It's your
today.
show.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know how many people we had today, but you know, we've always got some listeners. So hello to all the the loyal FWL fans. We appreciate
Share
you,
with your friends.
and we thank you for joining us. And we'll see you next time.